I wanted to add a few things to the video I did on the parenting wheel when I was talking about the South parents. These are the emotional parents. They're often young parents. Sometimes they became parents in their teens. Other times they just act like teenagers because they never matured. The point is, they don't really put their child's needs first. Often, the children of these parents become little adults, learning to take care of themselves. Sometimes they even find themselves taking care of their parents. The parent leans on them for emotional or physical support, like cooking meals for the family, cleaning the home, or fetching things for the parent who's too busy watching TV to get up themselves. Many parents try not to burden their children with adult worries like finances and personal relationships. For example, my grandmother, with whom I lived, would sometimes disappear, and I'd go looking for her only to find her in the basement, crying. When she realized I was there, she'd hide her tears and act like nothing was wrong. Not these parents. They'll ask their children what they should wear, what they think about certain things others have said, and so on. They treat their children as if they were a friend or a sibling. My stepfather told me my mother refused to have sex with him and that this was her duty as a wife, to have sex whenever he wanted it. Then he asked me what I thought of her disobedience. I was 12. This is the kind of inappropriate conversation I mean. These children grow up fast, taking on responsibilities for things that they shouldn't have to worry about at this age. Or they can learn to manipulate this immature parent to get what they want and need. Either way, it's an unhealthy relationship. And if these kids don't get the care they need, when they grow up, they can have some issues. Since they don't have any examples of other ways to parent, they might fall into this same habit if they have kids of their own. They might even think it was cool that their caregiver treated them like an equal. It may make them feel as if they're more mature for their age, but it places an undue burden on them, and they don't really get to live an age-appropriate childhood. A parent like this can even turn to their child for sexual gratification. They see the child as a young adult. They're far more concerned with their own personal wants than the child's needs. They're too selfish to care about the damage that they do. This kind of parent can say some very cruel things when they're stressed, even blaming the child's very existence for all of their problems. If you've ever been told your caregiver's adult problems were all your fault and it would be so much better if you weren't here, you know what I'm talking about. Recovering from this type of childhood takes guts. We have to go back and look at what we have learned. If you find your thoughts wandering back to the painful past, ask yourself what the experience taught you. Now, this could be as simple as, if I ever have a child, I won't do that. But it would be great if you could find other answers. Maybe you would have responded differently than you did when it happened. Maybe you learned that your caregiver was immature and lazy, or had a terrible childhood of their own to turn out like this. But dig deeper. There's more. There's always more. Did you learn how to parent yourself? Did you learn kind things you could say to yourself when you're in a stressful situation? Did you learn to be independent? Did you learn coping skills? Did you learn real-world skills? Many of us picked up the toxic words we heard and internalized them. Later in life, we find these play over and over again in our mind. We may hear the same words, but in our internal voice. The abusive words we heard as children have now become our fear feeder voices. These voices only feed our fears and make our stress and depression worse. It's time to silence them. If you have a photo of yourself when you were a child, place this picture in a chair or on the couch. Talk to that child as if she or he were sitting right there in front of you. Don't get hung up on remembering what it felt like back then. That's the pain we're trying to heal. Focus on being the wise elder. Imagine what you would say to this child. Tell that child that you're sorry they're suffering, that they don't deserve it, and that you will be there for the rest of their life to help them in times like these. That you will be the best parent and protector you possibly can be for them. That the past will stay in the past and nothing like this will ever happen again because you're stronger now. You'll stand up for that internal child, and you won't allow abusive people to get away with their tricks anymore.